This is Cafe English from VenturEnglish. Thanks for coming in. We'll be talking about topics that come up every day. Get your listening practice, new vocabulary, and even some useful idioms for your next conversation with friends or colleagues.
Hi everybody, Paul Preston here. Welcome to Cafe English for another week. And this week is the second in the series that I'm working on about how to think like an American, or what it's like to think like an American, because of course I am an American and I live in Japan, and that's very interesting because it sort of allows me to look at my own culture from outside. And because I live in Japan and I also work with many Europeans and other Asians, I also often hear about how Americans think and how Americans take their perspective about things. And so that's very interesting to me. Of course, when I was in the US, nobody ever talked about that. So that's great. And I want to cover 6 different elements about being an American, or at least what being American is like for some people who look at us from afar. And last week I talked about optimism, I should point that out, and then this week I'm going to talk about individualism. So if you didn't watch last week's, go back and have a look at that too. I think you'll find it very interesting. So individualism. Well, what is individualism? I guess that individualism is the thought of you as a separate person. You're not completely connected to the society around you. You have to rely on yourself. You have to focus on yourself, and you basically are responsible for your own future. I think these are the elements of individualism that people point out as being American. Now, of course, we do have society, and we do think in terms of group also. But individual needs, individual opinions and perspectives are, of course, very valued in American culture. And so we really not only want to be able to express our own views and our opinions, but we also value the opportunity to hear other people's views and opinions as well, because that's, of course, part of it. Individualism came from probably a need. When we look back at older cultures, older societies, we see the groups coming together to help each other, and that creates something of a cooperative culture. And of course, this is fantastic. It helps the society build, it helps people grow, etc. But in the US, we were spread out. People were far away from each other. And this was kind of designed this way by the huge amount of land that we had, and how people had to go out and tame the land themselves. They had to figure out how they were going to survive on the land. And this is difficult because there's nothing there before they show up. Basically, they have to build their own houses, their own towns, their own roads, everything in order to get from place to place. And so a lot of people lived miles away from other people. And so they needed to rely on themselves. They could not rely on other people. And I think this is where we get this concept of rugged individualism. Toughness. It's a toughness related. We kind of think of it as cowboy individualism, or even like old Western movies where the cowboy would be out there by themselves, and they'd sort of be taking care of themselves and fending for themselves, fighting off the bad guys, etc. But they needed to rely on themselves for everything. Of course, we see this as kids, and our parents grew up this way, our grandparents and our great-grandparents grew up this way, so we start thinking this way too. And we're told, even from a young age, how the fact is we can do it. We can build up our lives by ourselves. It buys into a little bit of the optimism we talked about last week, but also the fact is we are responsible for it. Nobody else is responsible. Nobody else is going to help us. Nobody else needs to help us. We have to do it ourselves. And so we have to put in the hard work. We have to do it. But if we do those things, we will achieve our goals. And so this optimism and this individualism is very tied into each other. Outside forces don't affect us so much as our own will and our desire to move ahead and achieve our goals. So this is kind of how that individualism is developed. Maybe you could argue that Americans are a bit too individualistic. Maybe we've kind of gone off a little bit on the deep end there and gone a little bit too far with this theory. Well, I don't know if that's true or not. People have their own opinions about that. But I never really worry about that too much because I always believe that societies have a tendency to right themselves. People will go too far in maybe individualism and they'll balance back. And then maybe they'll go too far into group or collectivism and they'll balance back. Cultures are in different places, they're at different states, but basically we always sort of balance back. And so I don't worry too much about that. But I know the criticism that Americans may be a bit too individualistic right now. So that is part 2 of my series on how to think like an American or be American or what it's like to be an American. And I just want to say at the end, as I always do, that I think that it's really, really important that I'm doing something here that's interesting and that you want to watch and that's helping you focus on your English skills, both language and maybe culturally too. But if there's something I can do that will help you become a better English speaker, I want to know. Let me know in the comments. And please, if this is something that's useful for you, subscribe to the channel. We would love to have the group. I really want to build the group, more and more people who are trying to build their language skills together so that we have strength in numbers and we can all overcome the obstacles to improving our language skills. So please do let me know what I can do to help you, and check out our website, VenturEnglish.com. Listen to my podcasts. I have 2 3-minute English. Where did that come from? Of course, watch this channel for other videos, and please do let me know whatever I can do to help you. I want to do it. So this has been Paul Preston on Cafe English. Great to see you for another week, and I'll look for you again next week. Hey, I just wanted to let you know real quick, maybe you have some concerns about how you're writing emails. We have a course for that at VenturEnglish.com. It's an email writing course. It goes through a lot of details about how to write emails and gives you a lot of advice about how to structure, how to use the right phrases and the right words, and also how to read emails that come to you. So check out that email course at VenturEnglish.com. If that's something that you think you can use, I think you'll enjoy it.
Hey, thanks for joining me this week at Cafe English. If you'd like some more English practice, why not check out some of the other programs on the Venture English channel? We feature coaching advice and study tips to improve your English. Don't forget to subscribe and come back often. You can also go to our webpage at VenturEnglish.com. Become a member for free and maybe even try some of our courses. At Venture English, our goal is to help you speak English better.